Good morning, YouTube. We're out front today. This is going to be part of my series on respecting the pig. Yesterday I harvested my second and final pig, and in that process there's leftovers, so you get all your cuts of meat that you pull off. You've got your bacon, you got your sausage, which we made 22 pounds of sausage off of one pig. And then there's the bones and the spine. So I deboned both legs and made boneless loin roasts and boneless pork chop. So I have the spine and the ribs from what would be baby backs, all left over. So what am I going to do with it? I could take it in the woods and throw it out there and the animals will come get it, but no. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make bone broth out of it. So I'm going to show you guys how to make bone broth out of pig. The first step, put it in my smoker. I cooked it at whatever the smoker wanted to get at for 2 hours this morning, using cherry flavor wood today and oak as the firewood. When it finally got to a nice dark color, brown meat tastes good, I transferred it from the smoker into 2 large stock pots. This is actually our water canning pot. And then that's just a large stock pot, covering them with water. Put a lid on them, crank up the burner. Now, a little point of advice, the first time we did this, we did it in the house. And 8 hours of boiling pig bones and a little bit of meat really added a layer of pigginess to our house. So today we're going to do that 8 hours of boiling out here. Now I started the boiling process here, but I don't have some key ingredients. So I'm just going to roughly chop. I didn't wash them. I didn't care. I got them at the store. Boom. 2 celery sticks, 3 carrots. I'm making about 12 or 13 quarts of pork broth. And you might wonder, well, how am I supposed to get bones? Well, buy half a pig. Tell the butcher, I want all the bones back. Every single one. If it's not attached to the meat, I want the bone back. And if the butcher finds out that you want bones and they're not making bone broth themselves, they might give you other bones. Because who asked for the bones? You can get it back with a pig that you bought. You can go to a local butcher that processes the level of food that you're looking for and say, do you have bones for sale? The first time I made beef broth, I actually paid, $5 a pound for knuckles. It's way too much. But the guy, he had what he wanted, and I wanted them. So I've got 2 celery, 3 carrots, 2 sprigs of rosemary. Now we're just putting, or 3 sprigs of rosemary. We're putting in the aromatics that we want. You could put sage in this, you can put rosemary in it. I'm going to put a teaspoon of thyme in here. I'm putting a 2-pound onion in it. And the whole thing too. I'm just going to cut down, slice this bad boy up, and throw it in there. Yeah, look at that organization. I was very careful about that chop. Whew, so neat and tidy. Alright, I need a couple of measuring devices. Nothing about this says that you have to measure. And I'm going to. We are going to put in 2 bay leaves. Even when I make chicken broth, I put 2 bay leaves in with only 1 chicken carcass, so it's just a matter of area. A tablespoon of black peppercorns. Teaspoon of thyme. And these are ish. I find that pork broth tastes a lot like chicken broth tastes then. It's not as porky as you think. And I'm going to bust out the other one real quick. So, why would you want to eat bone broth? When I was on a 4-day fast, the only thing that I ate, and I only ate one thing a day, I know fasting and eating, was 1 cup of beef broth. And the reason that I had that beef broth was so that my electrolyte level wouldn't get too low. The risk of fasting isn't the fast, it's for people in my age group. Coming off of the fast, you have to be really careful coming off the fast. So if you keep your electrolyte level up, it minimizes the risk of problems when you're coming off of the fast. And if you've never tried fasting, put in the comments that you're interested, and I will tell you about my experience with a multi-day fast. I thought it was awesome. I'm going to bundle back up because it's 27 degrees out there. As you can see, I cleaned up back here for you guys. All right, pot number 1. The broth is starting to look a little brown and yummy. Gonna take the pot, bowl, take the bowl, dump in the aromatics. Like I said, normally you put everything in at once, add water to cover everything, and then start to simmer. We're only an hour late. That's good. There's still plenty of room for these guys in here. Dip down, see if I can give it a little stir. Meat. Push them all in. Perfect. And I'm really just checking to see if I have to add any water to it, seeing that I started it late. The second one? Uh-oh. These handles are... That handle's hot. And this is just a really big burner camp stove. Heats these huge pots nicely, real quick. It's on sub-low at the moment. Now, as far as the bones go, I processed this pig yesterday. Killed it the day before. When I was done processing yesterday, it was about 45 degrees, so I took the bones, put them in an ice chest under ice so they could hang out while it was still warm. Okay, good. There's plenty of room in there for that. Aromatics applied, lids back on. You can see a little bit of simmer going on here. That's what we're after. You can go with a little faster simmer, but it's a marathon, not a sprint. This is 8 hours worth of water boiling. When I finish this, it'll either be dark or close to dark out here. We'll see. All right, be back in a few. All right, let's see. It's about 3:30, so the liquid's been boiling for almost 6 hours now. Thought I'd take the lid off and show you. It's got a nice rolling boil going, and you can see that it's a glorious tan color. Well, here I am, 6 o'clock. I promised that it would be dark. It is dark. Spent all day hanging up these lights. Woohoo! Anyway, we're going to take a look in the pots, take these things inside, and get them canned. So we've had a steady boil since 9:30 this morning. You can see that they've cooked down nicely. Lost about 3.5 inches in that one. About the same in that one. I'm going to take these inside and we'll show you the rest of the process. All right, so we've got pot 1 of 2 in the house. what we're going to do, and it's hard to see because we have to do it with the sink, is we're going to ladle the broth out of this through a colander with some cheesecloth in it. We doubled up the cheesecloth. And we're going to do that into another pot. Basically, we're just trying to get down to just broth. The meat and the carrots and the celery from this batch and the other batch all go to the chickens. So there's nothing wasted on this, but there is a little meat left on the spine and the leg bones and etc. All right, so I'm just going to work my way through the pot. This particular bone doesn't have any meat on it, so I'm going to put it in a pile to cool. But when I find little chunks of meat, they go in this bowl. Chickens don't get onions, so I have to put all the onions over here in my discard pile. Try to do this as quick as I can. The chickens will pick around any kind of meat on bones. They're good at it. And then I can just go in their pen and take the bones away later. If I find any that it's stuck to. So far I haven't. So just piles of meat. I'm not sure why chickens can't have onions, but the internet says it. So if anybody knows why chickens can't have onions, go ahead and put it in the comments so I can learn something. If it makes roosters crow less, maybe I'll go give it to them anyway. Doesn't that look good? You can see that it's not very dark. It's just a little bit darker than a chicken broth. So every place that you can use a chicken broth, you can actually use this. Okay, so I ran the first bit through the colander and the double cheesecloth, and it gets a lot of the solids out. And then the colander stops working because the pot's full. So I just transfer it from one pot to another. This turns into quite the elaborate pot moving process for us. But hey, this stuff's worth it. So I'm just going to fold the cheesecloth back out again. Slowly pour in the rest of this pot. But I want to make a point to you here. This pot was full all the way up to here. This and this, which was bigger at the time, was inside with water and aromatics, etc. And it has turned into that plus that. It's a lot of reduction there, but that's where you pack in the flavor and the deliciousness. Okay, we finished straining both pots of broth. You can see that we have, well, a large pot and a little bit. So this is a low acid can, which means we have to use a pressure canner. If you're not familiar with pressure canners, I'm not going to do the whole tutorial on pressure canners, but basically what we're going to do, we're going to get these in jars. We're going to get the pressure canner up to 15 pounds of pressure because I'm at elevation. I'm going to run it for 90 minutes, and that's going to protect our pork broth in this without refrigeration for 18 months. It won't last that long. Let's get to it. All right, so I've got my funnel on here to protect the edge of the pot, plus it makes it so I don't make a mess. And I'm really good at making messes, especially when I'm playing with liquids, so the funnel is working out. I'm going to get this up to a 1-inch headspace. And we're going to take a little bit, top this guy off, just like that. That's 1 inch. Most of the stuff in our house is contemporary, and then you have this lovely ladle with a wooden handle. My wife and I went to an estate sale. There are people up here that do estate sales of estate sales, so they run around buying people's estates and then they sell them at pole buildings. So we found one of these guys, and I think we got it for like $2. Exactly what we were looking for. Now I took a clean rag and I wiped the top of the lid to make sure that there was no soil on it, and then finger tight. In the pressure canner it goes. Rinse, repeat. Now the first time we made this was 3 days ago. And this time we did a little different because we're processing it immediately after cooking it. Last time we let it chill and then warmed it back up again. What that did was, excuse me a second. The last batch, you could actually see the separation of the fat. There is fat in here in the bottle, but in this one, it's completely integrated. And every scoop, there's no gradient in color, so the fat is still suspended. So I think it's much better to start really early, smoke your meat, smoke your bones, get it in the pot. We started this at 6, it's 6:30 now. That way you'll get an even layer of fat in each bottle. And you might go, oh, fat, gross. No, if you raise your own pig or have someone raise you a pig in a healthy way, fat is good. It's good. Eat your fat. Okay. All right, we're on our last bottle, and I want to make a point. I did not salt this recipe. I salt it when I use it. So of all the aromatics and everything that we put in there, no salt. Now, you might think, okay, I can do that. But when you open it up to eat it, you're gonna want to salt it, because it makes it so much better. All right, I've got my 7 jars inside of my pressure canner. This is an all-American, some model number, not an affiliate. It's a pressure canner. Get whichever one you want. They're all safe now. With this one, I want to oil up the rim and the top, and I want to oil up the edge of the lid. So I'm going to put just a little bit of olive oil in here. Has a very high burn point, so it's okay inside of my pressure canner. There we go. Just a little bit. Now, what this is actually doing is making it so I can get the lid off. The first time that we canned in the pressure canner, I don't know if we were just overzealous and we got it down a little bit too tight, but oh my word, it was hard to get this lid off. We worked at it and worked at it because, you know, it's aluminum. We didn't want to ruin it. It's brand new. All right, so come right here to the front. In this particular model, it's this little mark. It goes with the arrow. Now, if you put it down right on top of it, it won't work. But what you have to do is back off, because there's these little clips, and it clips underneath tabs at 3 different points on the pressure canner. Then what you do is you take these little handles, and what I do is I get each one up to the point of touching. Now the fire's on this thing. It's getting warm. Okay, I'm not putting any tension on any of these knobs, because what I'm going to do is make sure that the lid is on straight. What have I done? Make YouTube videos while you're talking and cooking. This tab is a little out of whack, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to turn it back. There we go. I just over-tightened one of the just touching knobs, because they need to all be lined up with each one of the little bolts. You can tell that I've never filmed myself pressure canning before. Clunky. Oh. But this is important. Okay, so we're going to get all 6 of the knobs up here. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lean down here. I'm gonna look at the gap between the two. Right here, the gap is less than the gap there. So I'm gonna back this one off, make sure everybody's just a little bit loose. And I'm gonna even it out by lifting the lid a little bit and pushing down on this side to get it to straighten out. Because if it's not straight, remember this isn't hard. It doesn't take all that much time. If the lid's not straight and even, the air will leak out and you won't get the pressure. Okay, so let's see, quarter inch, quarter inch, quarter inch, quarter inch, quarter inch. Okay, so then we're gonna take and we're gonna tighten them on opposite sides. Double check. We're not going for any kind of a cinch job here. Oh, she's snug and it's on. So now we're gonna wait until this emits a constant stream of steam. And I'm gonna set a timer for 10 minutes and then we can go on to the next step.
10, 9, 8.
All right, this thing's been blowing a steady stream of steam for 10 minutes now. On the All-American, it has a jiggler, and the jiggler has 3 different numbers on it, 5, 10, and 15. And you put that hole over the vent to control the pressure. So I'm gonna set this to 15. Again, I'm at elevation. If you're at sea level, the number would be different. So I put the 15 is facing down right now. Okay. All right, so this particular model pressure cooker has a pressure gauge and the jiggler. We only use a jiggler. You have to pick one or the other. So once the jiggler starts jiggling, I'm gonna look at the pressure gauge to make sure it's up at 15, where it's supposed to be. But then I'm just gonna rely on this. So once it starts jiggling, it's at 15 PSI. I'm gonna set the timer for 90 minutes, and then I'm gonna slowly bring the temperature down until the jiggler jiggles 4 times in 1 minute. When we get to that 90-minute point, I will bring you back and we'll talk about what the next step is. All right, so it's up to around 15 pounds now, and I thought I'd show you what the jiggling is like. So we're just gonna sit here patiently and wait for a jiggle. Should happen anytime now. Is this like a watch clock? There you go, that's a jiggle. You want 4 of those every minute. All right, we're back. First thing in the morning. We're gonna check the jars to make sure that they sealed. And then we can take the caps off and store them in the pantry. As you can see, the promised fat has risen to the top. A little bit of sediment at the bottom. That's because we didn't screen it 6 or 7 times. It's a nice dark brown and delicious. Now what we're going to do is check to make sure it's sealed, and the way you do that is you just come and push the tops. They don't click. And I put this lid on an empty jar just so you know what the clicking is. So if it does that, it's not sealed. Take that one, put it in the fridge, because you are not preserving anything with it. So the last step here is to spin off the lids, wipe them down, and store them. Hope you find this video helpful, and see you next time.